The phone rang at 9 o'clock in the morning while I was reaching behind my own back for the last button on my wedding dress. No one was there to fasten it. My sister's name was on the screen. "Don't wait for Dad," Renata said, soft and sweet, the way she got right before something cruel. "He chose to stand with me."
"How could you do this?" I whispered. There was a smile in her voice. "You should have known your place." I almost believed I'd walk in alone. I was wrong about who would be standing in that room. So was she. My name is Sierra. I'm 33. I'm a home health nurse in a small Ohio town, the kind of person other people call when something breaks 14 months earlier. I sat on the floor of my mother's bedroom at 3 a.m., counting her breaths. Pancreatic cancer had moved fast. Renata said she couldn't, with the kids. Dad couldn't either, though he was down the hall. So it was me. I learned the rhythm of her morphine, the smell of the lavender sachet she kept by her wrist. When she died at dawn, I called the funeral home, told Dad, pick the hymns. In the gray weeks after, without anyone deciding it out loud, I became the one who handled things. The bills, the paperwork, the calls. It felt like love, being needed that much. It took me a long time to understand they are not the same thing. 3 weeks before my wedding, I was at my kitchen table doing what I always did Sunday nights. Confirming the auto payment on Dad's homeowner's insurance, topping up the property tax escrow, fixing his Medicare form, reordering his blood pressure prescription. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. "Honey, about walking you down the aisle. Let's talk later." I should have heard the warning in that word, later. Renata showed up that Thursday, 2 kids and a diaper bag, needing $400 for braces. I wrote the check. Then casually pouring coffee. You know, you make everything about you. Mom's last month's, now this wedding. I take care of things, Renata. That's not the same. Dad needs his grandkids right now. You'd understand if you had any. There it was, the leva. She controlled when Dad saw his grandchildren, and she'd figured out it was the one thing he couldn't survive losing. I drove out to the homestead that night. "Dad, I want to talk about the wedding," I said plainly. "It's getting complicated, honey. Your sister feels like the family's splitting. If I make a fuss, she keep the kids home for a while, then let's all sit down. Get it in the open. I can't push her, Sierra. I'll lose them." I understood the trap fully. Renata had built it so that my fighting for him would look exactly like hurting him. Aunt Prue called the next morning. "People are talking. Renata says you've cut the family off." My sister had told half the county I'd grown cold and proud, that I thought my nursing degree made me better than them. None of it was true. All of it was useful. We were supposed to marry in the apple orchard behind the homestead, my great-grandfather's trees. Renata started circling it. Funny how Sierra just assumed she could have the orchard. It's family land, isn't it? The call came 10 days out. Dad's voice, Renata's coaching in the background. "I think it's best we don't do the wedding out here," Renata thinks. I repeated, "Now don't be like that." "Okay, Dad," I said. "Okay," and hung up before my voice could do anything I'd regret. Daniel found me on the kitchen floor that night. "We'll get married in our own backyard." He offered, kind, solid, true. I couldn't say yes yet. I still wanted my father to choose me. So I picked my phone back up and reordered his blood pressure medication because the pharmacy had texted. 14 months of reflex doesn't switch off just because your heart's been kicked, Sierra, Daniel said gently. "Who's holding you up?" I didn't have an answer. For 3 days, I rehearsed a different plan. I'd opened my banking app and added up 14 months of insurance payments, tax escrow, pharmacy charges, the lease I'd co-signed. I printed every statement into a neat folder. I scripted the moment I'd lay it on the table at the family supper and read the numbers aloud. Slow, and watch their faces change. My friend Dana whistled at the folder. "Make them see what you actually do." Lay it out. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. Renata invited me for coffee. Sisters, it wasn't reconciliation. It was reconnaissance. She wanted to know if I'd make a scene. Then she said the thing I've turned over 100 times since. Mom always loved you more. You got the soft version of her, It was the exact inverse of the truth. But it told me something. She genuinely believed it. You cannot fact-check a person out of a story they need to survive. The folder wouldn't reach her. Nothing would. I drove to the homestead Thursday while Dad was at his cardiology appointment, the one I'd scheduled. In Mom's sewing room, in her old tin with the faded rose lid, under her embroidered handkerchief, I found a slip of paper in her handwriting. Place isn't where they seat you. It's where you decide to stand. Stand, Sierra. I sat there a long time. The folder in my passenger seat suddenly felt like the smallest, saddest weapon in the world. I stayed too long. I heard Dad's truck on the gravel. I sat very still in Mom's chair and listened to him go to the hall closet, take out her old gray coat, and talk to it, low. I don't have it in me, to fights. I can't, a pause. She's strong, Maggie. Sierra's the strong one. She be all right. That's the part that gutted me. He decided that because I could survive being abandoned, I was the acceptable one to abandon that evening. I went to see Miriam, my 5th grade teacher. 71, sharp as a tack. I told her everything. The orchard, the folder. My father and the coat, this folder, she said. Who's it for? For them. To make them see. No, it's for you. You want them to hand you your worth, Sierra. They don't have it. They never did. Then what do I do? You stop waiting at a door that won't open and you notice who's already standing in the room. You don't walk in alone, honey. You walk in with whoever already showed up the next morning. Tom Brandt called, a man whose mother I'd nursed through her final months. He offered his family's restored timber barn for the wedding. You carried our mother out of this world. Let us carry your day coats. This wasn't a gift falling from the sky. It was a harvest at the peacemaking supper at Prue's. My hand actually went to my truck keys for the folder. Then I looked at my father. Smaller than I'd ever seen him. You're right. Aunt Prue, I said, calm as still water. Family forgives. I forgive all of you. Renata's eyes narrowed. She'd expected a fight and gotten Grace. And Grace frightened her more. I drove home and dropped the folder, unopened, in the recycling bin instead. Over 3 evenings, I built my father a different kind of folder, a complete, clearly labeled handover packet. Every account, every auto payment, every login. Everything I'd been silently carrying for 14 months, written out the way I'd write discharge instructions. I was discharging myself. I emailed it with one line. Dad, here is everything I've been handling for the house and for you. It's all yours now. You have everything you need to stand on your own. So do I love you. Sierra quotes that night I also turned off the auto payment on the homestead insurance, canceled the tax escrow draft, and gave formal notice removing myself from Renata's lease, timed so no one was stranded mid-month. The town moved with me to rebuild the wedding in 9 days. Dana rallied the nursing crew for lights. The Brandts hauled hay bales. The diner donated cider, my mother's recipe. Daniel built his cedar arch. Renata, sensing her story collapsing, escalated, calling cousins, posting vague wounded things online. But the people filling that barn weren't reading her posts. They were patients' families I'd sat with at 4 a.m. They'd seen the actual me, the night before the wedding. My phone lit up with her name. I let it ring out. The Brandt barn glowed gold. I finished my own last button, the one no one had fastened that morning. My mother's handkerchief was wound around my bouquet. Miriam waited at the doors. You don't walk in alone, she murmured. You never did. The doors swung open onto a room with not one empty chair. 100 faces, every one of them glad. Then the barn doors at the back opened a second time. Renata stood there, expecting to witness my humiliation. Instead, she found the packed room, the cider, the lights, and behind her, hesitating at the threshold, my father. He'd come on his own. He stepped inside and couldn't lift his head. Renata found her voice, too loud for the room. Sierra, this is ridiculous. You should have known your place, double quotes. The whole barn went quiet. I finally do, Renata, I said, calm as my mother's hand. My place was holding all of you up. I just set it down. No folder. No numbers read aloud. The truth was already standing in the room, in the shape of 100 people who came. My father lifted his head an inch. I read what you sent. I didn't know, Sierra. I didn't know how much. His voice gave out he felt for the first time in 14 months. The full weight of the foundation the moment it stopped carrying him, Miriam patted my hand. Shall we? We turned and walked toward Daniel, and not one part of me looked back. In the weeks after, my father learned line by line what 14 months of being carried had looked like. He paid the insurance himself, late the first time, on time after that. He called more than he had all year. And the calls slowly stopped being about what he needed. Once he said, I should have walked you down that. Yes, I said. You should have. Renata's leverage came apart on its own, the way a structure does when what's underneath it is gone. She never apologized. People that deep inside a story rarely do. Miriam comes to Sunday dinners now. So do the Brants. So does Dana. The family I was born into got smaller and truer. The family I built without noticing got larger and warmer. My mother's note is still in my dresser drawer. Place isn't where they seat you. It's where you decide to stand. I stand now, in a room I built, with people who chose me.